Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 51 of the Scottish Silverback Podcast. And we've got the new IFBB Pro, Joe Ballinger, on.
What's
and
good,
this
boys?
is your second on the podcast, mate. So, what we want to do is just kind of hear all about it, because I think a lot of us would probably consider you to be Mr. Persistence. You know, you've had close calls numerous times. We've all been on stage together at some point as well, and you finally got the card. So obviously, from the both of us, massive congratulations on that. It's good to finally see you do it. So, how long did it take you? How many years did it take to get the card?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me on, boys. Appreciate it, and it's always a pleasure. So, yeah, I mean, I've been competing. I did my first show in 2014. Obviously, not when I used to do the pretty boy stuff. You know, the muscle model and prancing around and all that stuff. So I spent a few years doing that, but I started competing in the NPC in 2018. First show, classic. Quickly figured out it was extremely difficult to make weight. So that was 2018, where I actually came third in Spain, and there was like 27 guys in the lineup. So I was quite happy with the result. Then I went straight to Supers, and I was right at the very bottom end of the category. I was like 103, 104 kilos on stage, and obviously the cap's 102.5. So I was just in it. So I knew it was going to be a relatively decent journey of putting on size. And I have indeed competed every year since 2014. Bearing in mind, some years I competed near the start of one year and near the back end of another, but every calendar year. So, yeah, it's been since 2018, mate. So 7 years, I guess, in the NPC, I guess, chasing down the pro card,
Yeah. I mean, like I said at the start there, it's like definitely persistence, and you know, in an industry and a sport that continues to get more popular, you know, far more people are competing, and so on and so forth. It's got more eyes. Even on the mainstream, there's more eyes on it, and I think a lot of people assume that, you know, we've been around for 5 minutes, you know what I mean, and we just kind of walk on stage, and when in reality, all of us have been training for fucking ages, you know, combined.
Yeah.
It must be like surely close to 60 years or something like that. So
I was gonna say I've been training 20 years, and you boys must have been doing the same. Nearly 20 years. So 60 years, that's jokes. Making us sound well old, bro.
I'd be 16 years or something.
That's just ridiculous. So it just shows you. I think, you know, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but everyone's kind of thinking, right, my first season, second season, IFBB Pro show, and I'll get to
100%.
Olympia. And it's like, in reality, unless you're maybe bikini, that's not going to happen. And I think, you know, I tried for years. Greg's trying, Jack's trying, and of course you've been trying for ages as well. So it kind of just it gives that realism that, you know, getting your IFBB Pro card is no easy feat.
I think the thing is, in our category as well, it just takes longer. Like you said, bikini, no disrespect to any of the smaller classes, men's physique. I mean, in men's physique, obviously you can get to the desired physique quicker, but then obviously there's more guys, so it is extremely competitive. But in bodybuilding, you have to produce a certain look, and it takes a certain amount of time to build that level of musculature, as you boys know. And it's an extremely competitive class. As much as there are less super heavyweight bodybuilders, tends to be the guys that are up there in those pro qualifiers. The standard is getting better and better every year, and it's a very, very difficult one to crack. But at the end of the day, as you said at the start, you just got to keep turning up, man, as we all have, and we all will continue to do. And eventually it's going to happen.
You mentioned there your first NPC show was classic. You've kind of flip-flopped a few times, haven't you, between Supers and Classic? What was your thought processes behind doing that?
Well, regret at this point. Obviously, 2021, I think, was the first year I started winning shows and getting into overalls and stuff like that. Into 22, into 23. And then I had a bit of a dip in 23 where I think my off season, I started to trial out some different training methods, did some RAR stuff. And I'll be honest, my look wasn't as good in 2023. I'd lost a bit of density through the back and the legs mainly. That was the most noticeable thing. And then after 2023, where I didn't place where I wanted to place, came like, I think, 4th in Spain, which is kind of a bit of no man's land, really. It's not like you're pushing, but you're not coming last. It's like, but also when you're used to doing a lot better and being a lot more competitive, it wasn't a nice place to be. A few people in my ear like, why don't you try classic? And I did. I'd made the decision after coming off the stage, or within a week or so, and it was there was the True Athlete show in August 2023, and that was when I decided to do a classic show. So I had to drop I was already in show condition from doing Spain. I had to drop over 20 pounds, and I did that. It was probably one of the hardest fucking things I've ever done, and I ended up looking just emaciated. Completely emaciated. You'd think I'd look really lean. I looked leaner when I did the super show at 20 odd pounds heavier because I was so flat and I'd lost so much pop in the muscle.
I'm right now trying to fucking get down in condition. It's fucking killing me.
It's a hard one. And I was doing 1,300 calories, 2 hours on the stairs a day. It was fucking grim, man. And I think, we're all up for a bit of suffering, but that was more than suffering. It was starvation, and it was, it wasn't bodybuilding. I had to do the hanging upside down on the spinal decompression thing, and I was like, after I come out of the hole of doing that, because I had to be so fucking focused to do it. When I came out, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I was like, I've just sacrificed so much muscle that I spent so long trying to build, and for what? For the chasing of obviously of a pro card. I was like, but if I have to do this to get that, I don't want it. I don't want it, because what am I going to do with it at that point? Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I want to be a bodybuilder. That's what I do. My training went to shit. I didn't enjoy training, and I was like, I only compete, as I'm sure you boys do, because we love to train. We love to lift. All three of us are strong motherfuckers. We lift heavyweight, and that's what got us into competing, because we love we love being in the gym, the environment, and it was a natural progression. So, that was a bit of a silly one. But at the end of the day, as I said, it's lessons learned, isn't it? And I bounced out of that, had an incredible rebound. And then next time out on supers, first time on a pro qualifier stage, I managed to get a job done. So happy days.
Is this the first podcast you've been on since turning pro?
No, I did one I did the BTS TV one. So that was like a show roundup and stuff like that. So I guess this could be first guest appearance, shall we say?
Yeah, we'll call it that. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, it's an exclusive, boys.
That's how I'm going to punt it anyway, mate. So you were with Patrick at the same time I was in 2020, 2021, and you made the decision to go back to Patrick. Obviously, Patrick, I think we can all agree, in 2021 didn't have the best of years with his clients, and but up until recently, obviously he's got Mr. Olympia now under his belt, the 2-time, and he's definitely kind of stepped up his game, and you're another testament to that fact. So, what was the decision process going back to Patrick?
It's an interesting one, really, because I didn't ever want to leave him in the first place. It was because we competed was it 2021? Yeah, it was 2021 where I did Spain. So we did the regional, and then we did was it the Benwida we did in 21? Or was it?
We did
I think we
2022. Were you not the Arnold UK?
No, it was a Spain show. Maybe I'm on about 22 then. Maybe I'm on about 22. So we did, maybe I did my off season through 21 and then competed early 22. And then I did the Spain show where I lost to Rob Cannon in the supers. And so I was really happy with the look. We nearly won. I remember Paul Crook was judging, and also Bill Sibilia. And I remember speaking to them off stage, and they were like, because what happened was there was 9 or so of us in the supers, which is a good turnout for supers. And they took me and Rob off. They were just comparing us, took us off, and then they took everyone else off and pulled just us 2 back. And anyway, I've since found out that I was in first, and then we came back out, and it got switched around because I faded. But anyway, that aside, I was super happy with the result. The Polish judge, I forget his name, the guy, not the Polish, Spanish guy. Anyway, he was like, go and do Poland in 2 weeks. And I was like, I wanted to do that anyway. Spoke to Patrick. I just come off stage, nearly won. I was buzzing. I was like, yeah, let's go again. We'd done bloods about 4 weeks before as well, so I knew my blood work was good. Results were good. I was feeling good. And he was like, no, we need a break. And I just couldn't understand it because obviously at the time, at least anyway, maybe he had his own reasons at the time, but at the time I couldn't understand it. I was in that mindset of like, let's fucking go. We're close. Let's just keep pushing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we weren't aligned on that thought process. And I was like, I need to have the backing mentally to allow me to, put that full trust there. So we ended up parting ways, and that's when I went with Joe. And I had a fucking fantastic year because I'd had a really good off season. That show was good. That was the year I went on to win. I won Finland and Norway and lost both of them back-to-back weeks in the overall. That was a painful couple of weeks, as well as Spain the 2 or 3 weeks before that. So yeah, it was a good season. Yeah, it was a good season, but a very difficult one because I'd come close, numerous times in that specific year. Anyway, I loved everything that Patrick did. I loved the off season. I loved his training methods. I loved his peaking methods. And I always said, if the stars align and things work out, I would always love to go back. And this year, when me and Jimmy stopped working together after I did the classic prep, who was fantastic, by the way. Jimmy was really, really fucking good coach, very methodical, very smart, very clever with his sort of programming and stuff. But again, things run their course, right? And it was just stars aligned. I messaged him on WhatsApp and I was like, big man, do you want to go again? And he was like, yeah, all right, let's do it. So here we are, and the rest is history. We did obviously the off season together again, so we had that time to rebuild and rekindle the relationship. So as you know, I wanted to have that kind of like, I almost looked to him like I think I've said this before. Fatherly figure is the wrong word, but like something from an authoritative standpoint, because he's a little bit older. He's a little bit older. He doesn't compete anymore. He's a full-time coach at the highest level. And I just have that level of respect for him that, I don't know, it's just, I just really wanted to work back with him again. And yeah, we've rekindled the relationship, almost like a friendship in a way. And yeah, it's been phenomenal, man. Been really, really good.
So many people say that about him. Like, there's so many people who have already watched him. They just, like you said, it's not like a father figure, but it's just like, you want to impress him. It's like that respect factor he has. That it's just different to coaches. I think like Stefan's getting it as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think with Patrick, I don't question a fucking thing. I don't think, but what about this? Because we've all been coaches for ages, and there's sometimes in previous coaching setups, I've been like, well, what? I don't know, not sure. I'll obviously do it, but with Patrick, I'm like, fine. Sometimes, in fact, a lot of the time, I ask him why we do certain things. Like he'll implement a certain drug or he'll make a change that I'm like, I just want to know why he's done that. And he'll always come back to me with like a 5-minute voice note, ins and outs, the science, the application. And I'm like, sound. So I've actually learned an incredible amount whilst working with him as well, and with my own applications, my own coaching and my own physique. So yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that about it's not funny, but the bit you said about not wanting to do, he didn't want to do another show because he wanted to prep, obviously, it was time. But I remember watching, I don't know if it was a podcast or just a video, it was Mike Summerfield. I'm pretty sure Mike Summerfield used to work with him. And he said, Patrick had to send him a message and said, like, I can't work with you anymore due to your health. And he says, like, I'll be cutting ties right. And like, there was nothing up to that point, but it's because obviously whatever the thing is, Mike Summerfield has a bit of those socks. It's something to do with his body or whatever. But basically, Pat says, like, if anything goes wrong, this is kind of going to look bad on me, or I can get like the repercussions. I don't want to have that under me. So I wish you all the best.
Interesting.
And I think it's just so like on top of the ball in terms of health.
Yeah, no, he really is. And I guess at the time, you know how it is when you're deep in a prep and you just want to keep hammering it home. Maybe that was maybe his thought process was thinking ahead. Let's pull back for a bit, have a clear out, and go again back into the year. But I don't know. So who knows?
Yeah. I feel like I've been guilty of that. I've been guilty as a coach, being like, no, like let's keep pushing when the client is clearly done. And I think it's just like when you've got someone who's got great potential. It's like, no, we can make it work. We can make it work, and it's not a bad thing. You just have a lot of kind of passion for your client to obviously get on stage, and if they've got a good bit of potential, you just want to see that potential come out of them. But for whatever, Patrick had his reasons there, but I've been in that position twice. When I done the Ben WW, mate, I looked fucking terrible. That was a time where, like, I wish I just sat down with Nick and went, mate, I feel terrible. Nothing's working. I don't have a good mindset towards this prep. Yeah, we need to stop. But I never sat down and had a conversation with Nick. So, and then
when you're done now, don't you? But it takes almost doing that to know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost like you know when like when you prepping and you're like things are just fucking golden, everything's moving, like routines on point, getting out, meals on point, and then when it'll get to a point and you're like, oh, fucking food focus is heavy now and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, it's time. You know what I mean? If you're like a week or two out, it's like, well, let's finish this and then call it. But if you're like 8 weeks out, it's like, yeah, I don't know if you're going to make it here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So fun. So yeah, it was just interesting to hear that it was actually Patrick that made that decision rather than yourself. So it's you don't really hear.
Yeah.
That's interesting, mate. So we had a wee back and forth earlier today, and you've kind of already announced that you're going to do Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So pretty much the Mr. Olympia then.
Yeah.
Mate, honestly, it's kind of like the reason I'm doing it. Like when I put the post out on Instagram, I was very, very clear the fact that I'm not going there to try and be competitive and like get anything from a results perspective. Yeah, Derek don't want this smoke, bro. You know what I mean?
Fanboy moment. So, it's just like, hi guys, backstage.
Yeah, honestly, like when I knew the lineup, and to be honest, when I came off stage, obviously won my pro card. I was thinking about maybe doing the Spain show, which is in June, I think. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Sick show. I love Alicante, and go there, do the pro show. That'd be amazing. And then is Matt Parker, the guy who co-hosts the BTS TV podcast with Suki. Because he trains at Train by JP Gym back when I was living in Cheltenham. And like 4 weeks out from the pro qualifier, he said, mate, if we both go pro, let's go and do Pittsburgh. And at the time I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, that'd be fun. Yeah. And then I saw him after the show in the car park, and he was like, dude, you can go and do Pittsburgh now. And I was like, oh, fuck, I actually can. So but we went home, and I kind of looked into it all, and I was like, do you know what? This is a fucking once-in-a-lifetime experience, man, because how often am I going to get to go and stand in a lineup like that? You only get lineups like that, the Olympia and the Arnolds, and you've got to qualify or get invited, which realistically, that ain't happening anytime soon. So I was like, fuck it, let's go and do it. It'll be an incredible experience to stand on stage with the likes of the boys that are doing it, like Crizzo, Bonac, Good Vito, Nick Walker, Derek, Martin Fitz. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's going to be wild. So I'm doing it just to have a fucking good time, get some incredible content, meet some of the guys, and put my name out there, man. Like, obviously, it's pretty obvious why I'm not being competitive, but name's still going to be out there. Coverage is going to be insane. Like, every channel that's going is going to be like following that show. So I'm gassed for it, man. And we fly out. What's today now? Tuesday. We fly out on Sunday. So it's exciting, bro. Super exciting.
That's class. Yeah, that's class.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, if the opportunity's there, mate, absolutely. Like you said, it's basically the Mr. Olympia. So you definitely so. So I stood next.
Physiques like.
No, man.
Aye. It's gonna be good. Have you got anything lined up after that, or is it just Pittsburgh and then done? Or
nothing lined up. No, although I do know New York the week after.
Yeah,
literally the week after. However, I have booked flights home, and I don't plan on doing another show. I don't think there's really any point, because I'm doing this for the reasons just mentioned. Why then go and spend another $2,000, $3,000, whatever it is, to go and do a show that I'm also probably not going to place at? So this is, I'm getting that experience. It's like I don't need to do it again. Yeah. So probably not. I'll be like, although I'll probably come off stage and be like, oh my God, that was sick. Let's go to New York. But no, seriously, it'll be, it'll be time to chill out, come back. I've been on cycle for a long time. I need to come off cycle. I need to have a clear out. I need to give back to Nancy, my partner, and you know how it is, all that kind of stuff. We want to book a holiday. We're going to go to Marbella for 10 days, get a nice villa up in the mountains, and just live the life, man, for a week or two and just chill. That's the plan, man.
Sounds good, mate. No temptation to do the British Pro in October.
Absolutely not. None.
Fair enough. At least
no. Look, the timelines just don't work. The timelines just don't work.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Because I'd yeah. I think what are we in now? It'd be May, June, July, August, September, October. 5 months. Realistically, I'd need to clear out, and then I'd be prepping again. And like when I go again, I want to be competitive. Like, I wouldn't be competitive still to go and compete in October. It makes no sense to extend a prep for another 20 weeks. It makes no sense. Like I said, this show is for fun, Pittsburgh. But then next time I step on stage as a pro, I want to have made some significant improvements so that I can be in somewhat competitive. You know what I mean? I still don't expect to be going to win shows and qualify for the Olympia anytime soon in the next couple of years, but I would like to be at a position where I can be beating people. You know I can bring really, really good condition. I'm never going to be the biggest guy, but if I can put on, another 10, 15, 20 pounds of stage weight, that sounds like a lot, but it's what is probably required realistically. And as I said, the longest time I've ever taken an off season is 8 months, period.
That's wild.
So if I double that, who knows what can happen? And, stay with Patrick the whole time, as in like continue that relationship, stay with him all through the off season, all into the next prep, whenever that may be. I think that I can make some pretty good improvements and come back a lot more competitive. But until that point, I'll probably be off stage for a bit.
Yeah.
And again, and sorry to jump in there, just another reason why I want to do this show. So many people win the pro card and do nothing with it. I don't want to be that guy. I'm like, why not? Let's just go and do it and have some fun,
Quite right. Greg, you want into that?
No, we covered everything with that.
No, I thought you were trying to talk, but like it wasn't like you talk for some reason.
No, I'm all good.
No, fine. That's fine.
Got the lag on.
Aye.
What about you boys? What are we thinking?
Well, Greg, you want to talk about what you've recently changed?
Yeah.
For the fans.
So obviously everybody knows I've been with Callum since like 2021. This prep, it's the best I've ever been in terms of like size, structure, the amount of muscle mass I'm carrying. But when I got to about the 6 week out, my body just didn't start to come down like it should. It was like as I started coming down, the look was just fading and fading and fading. And like the condition was good, but there were still areas needed to drag off fat, like lower back, a little bit more off the glutes, just like round insertions of like back muscles and stuff. And it just wasn't coming through, and I could just almost like see my physique fading, and it was like looking a little bit sharper through some areas, maybe a little bit drier, but like my legs were shrinking like every 2 days, my back was going flat, and I was like constantly having to have these crazy high days to bring it back for a day, then it was dropping down again, and like no food was sticking, and then it was like just try and keep my body weight above like a certain point and keep trying to get sharper at that body weight. It wasn't happening, and it was just every day I was like waking up, doing check-ins and doing my visuals, and I was like just losing my spark, just not seeing what I want to see. I was pounding cardio. We were trying to do like low days for me, then we were doing high days to bring it back, and it was just so up and down. It wasn't working, and I just like had a little think. I was like, you know what? I think I might just need to try something new. And again, absolutely nothing on Callum. Like everybody knows, Callum's like one of the best coaches in the industry. Like super amazing guy, knowledge through the roof. Like I've built up such a great friendship with Callum over here. Like he's a really good friend now, and like when I sent him the message, I was almost getting teary writing it. It was like fucking breaking up, but he understood. He's like, yeah, mate, I can kind of see now, but like your passion's going, but there's just that fire's just losing yourself right now.
You needed something.
So
you needed a refresher.
Right thing. Yeah. So he was happy with it. He's like, obviously I'll be rooting for you. Hopefully everything goes well, and so on and so forth. And like maybe down the line might work together again. I don't know, but I kind of need something new. So probably I've always said like the coach I would go to next. I get on well with him. I like the results he does. He's not too far away, I guess, but it'd be Martin. So I contacted Martin last week. What a call! Kind of ran through a few things. We've tried stuff this week with myself. Hasn't really panned out. So we're just trialing and erroring a few things now. Like, obviously, the show I was meant to do was a Scottish show at the weekend, but that was pulled out weeks ago. So I've kind of got maybe about 6-7 weeks till the regional to try to figure out my body. Like, I'm not a million miles away. I'm maybe like 2-3 weeks away max. To be in shape and then peaking. So it's a case of like trying to find what my body's doing and getting it to work. So basically, we're doing fucking like a Joan Morel diet for 2 days at the moment to try to get big.
Yeah, love that. Do you, when you do the regional, do you want to be ready for the regional, or are you happy to do a regional not ready, if that makes sense, not 100%?
For me, because of obviously the year I had in 23 with mobility issues, even though I was peeled, I looked good, I just couldn't pose. I said to myself I would never step on stage again until I looked like, holy fuck, Greg really fucking came back this year, and Greg really fucking made his mark. I want to stand on stage and people go, holy fuck. So I do want to be pretty close to
there or thereabouts,
and like pose. I want to pose. Yeah, and my mobility and stuff's a lot better now after working on it for like over a year, through loads of different means and seeing different people. So I'm in a better position, but now my body's decided it doesn't want to fucking drop any more fat, and it's just wanting to flatten off. So we're just trying to figure out the piece of the puzzle right now and getting my body back to where it needs to be. But
it's going to be the DMP procedure, bro. It's going to be deployed.
Yeah, it's because it's strange because like my weight, I'm heavy, but it's like when I drop down below 120, my look is just completely fading. It's completely going. If I stay above like 122, 123, I look a lot drier, a lot harder, a lot more conditioned. It's like trying to find why that's happening between like that 2-3 kilo and why I'm not wanting to drop down any further. It's a strange one.
Well, I look forward to seeing you put it together, man. That'd be good. I think it's interesting, like you said about the regional as well. Like my goal this year was to do obviously the regional, because obviously we have to, but not to be 100% for that. Like we didn't want to peak 100%. We did do a peak, but we peaked with what we had, if that makes sense. Like I wasn't driven down to then peak. Yeah. My food never came below 4,300 calories on a training day. In fact, it didn't even change. It changed once. We made the initial change from off-season to prep, probably dropped 1,000 calories or so. And then that was at 12 weeks out. Then at 8 weeks out, we removed 2 bagels and some jam. And then no more changes for the whole prep. 0, food-wise. Food, obviously.
That's usually what for me. I'll usually drop a little bit and my body will just start cranking. And it's on the same food and it's like constantly dropping, getting better. And so I don't need to drop more food. At this point, like I'll get to about the 6 week out marker and it's like, right, we need to fucking dig harder. Then the body's like, whoa. And it's like, not happening. It just wants to keep going at its own pace. It's a strange one.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because like when it's like when you like, oh, now I have to dig. It's like your body doesn't like it, and that was I think where I've managed to bring the look that I did this year because I didn't have to do that. Whereas past few preps I've had to kind of make weight when I did classics. So this year it was like we did 30 minutes of cardio from day one on a treadmill. That didn't change. The food changed as much as I said, which is pretty much fuck all. A couple of, like I said, PED changes. I'll tell you one thing that really did help was, obviously I don't use Tren anymore. So here he is, the big man. So I don't use Tren anymore. I stopped using Tren probably 3.5 years ago now because it just fucking sends me west. So we used Test, Mast, and DHB as the main cycle, and then 10 milligrams of Halo pre-workout from about 8 weeks out. That helped so much with my training performance. So I was literally PBing, getting stronger than I was in off season up to 1 week out from the regional, which was just, I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, how am I still progressing at this rate? It's not even like maintaining, it's like fully progressing my lifts. And I think that was a huge thing. Yeah. I think that helped massively maintain the muscle mass that I built, but also get leaner because the output's still there. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed that quite a few times in this podcast about kind of like the no trend. I didn't do trend last year for the cards, So I've still got that fucking Tenerife cough.
Still got the Trent cough, though, ain't you?
Aye, so
That's Trent cough.
And I felt fucking brilliant because Trent massively impacts my sleep, and obviously recovery is night and day, and just every morning just getting like better and better and better. Whereas my look would fade maybe around the 4-3 week mark, and not in a diet way, but just in a toxic way.
Fatigue. I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Horrible. Yeah, like almost like a grey complexion to your skin. That's the way I see it anyway. I just feel
the worst.
It's good to another guy at your level say, I don't use Tren, when there's countless people that think that's a must. Nothing's a must.
I'll never touch it again. Honestly, this prep has been genuinely enjoyable. Like genuinely enjoyable. I've really enjoyed training. I've enjoyed dieting. It hasn't felt like dieting because the food was a good amount, 4,300 calories. To diet on that is sound. So I haven't really been hungry at all, to be honest. Obviously, that was the plan, bring us for the regional. I was lean, but I knew I could be a lot leaner. So after we came off stage at the regional, it's quite nice, really, because there's a lot of kind of like hype going into that first show. And then the hype died off after the regional because essentially I came last, third out of three, which is last in my books. But I didn't care. Like our goal wasn't to go and win. Our goal wasn't to go and win that show. If I'd have won it, sound. But we weren't at our best. Like that was the goal. So we then spent that 2 weeks. That's when he pulled food down. So we pretty much halved my carbs. So I was having like 5 meals a day, 120 grams of whatever carb source it was, 120 gram rice or oats or cream rice or whatever, 450 grams of potato. He halved all of those, increased my cardio from 30 to 40. I was only running 20 micrograms of Clen as well, doubled that to 40. So all those changes in that 2 weeks, fuck me, I just got so lean because it was there. It was ready to ready to go. And my body was so fresh that it was just responsive as fuck. And just within that 2 weeks, it just came off so nice. And then when we ran the peak again, so sensitive, so just so like a sponge. You know what I mean? When I was eating food, I was filling up. We're not like fading it all off, as we've seen before. When you're highly fatigued, you try and carb up, and you're like, well, that's not doing anything. So because I was still fresh, it was like, it was just perfect, man. Although we did run more diazide than I've ever ran before. We ran 2 whole diazide the day before the show, and I've not done that before. But nice. It shrink wrapped the fuck out of me. I mean, interestingly enough, the day before the show, I was 248.4 pounds, and then then obviously had my full day of carb loading and 4.5 liters of water, down from 6. This is on the Friday, day before the show. And then in the evening, 11:45 p.m., I was like, I'm just going to jump on the scale, see what I am. I was 248.3. So I was lighter after all of that when I went to bed than I was in the morning. And I was like, and I looked at myself and I was like, fuck, like this is good. And normally after a full day of carb loading, I'm like, let's just wait till the morning, see how that looks. And I was like, fucking hell, like I'm dry, I'm grainy. And I just knew in the morning it was going to be so good. I dropped 4 pounds overnight, woke up the lightest I've been all prep by about 3 and a bit pounds. And I was like, fuck, it's on. Like it's fucking on. And that was when the night before, that was really when the switch flicked in my head. And I was like, fucking hell, I'm in with a chance here. Because I knew Ben and Josh were both good. Ben was very thick and dense. He's got that nice bubbly look. And those 2 weeks before, I was like, I'm not sure. I don't know. He's very good. If he comes in on, he's going to be hard to beat. But that evening, I was like, okay, I'm going to be hard to beat with the level of condition and the fullness that we've managed to build here. It's just such a perfect balance. And I was just so happy with the look that we brought, and obviously got a job done.
The morning of the show, what did you do prior to say? I like to know every guy's kind of setup the morning of.
Morning of
that you can like pack on into.
Yeah, so to be honest, even the carb load wasn't really that much. So taking it to 2 days out on the Thursday, he actually pulled me down to 2 0-carb meals pre-training, went to train. I guess that's to kind of like, sensitize my body a touch more for the carbs. And then we did 4 carb load meals. Again, nothing crazy, just like the meals I was having before, 120 grams of carbs, 120 grams of carb sauce, so 120 gram uncut rice or whatever. 4 meals like that. Same again on the Friday, 1 day out, 6 meals like that. And then on the Saturday, the day of the show, he was like, I want you to have 1 meal. We knew we were going to be on stage at like 9:45, something like that. 1 meal at 6 a.m. So we had, it was like 120 gram cream of rice, a banana, 2 rice cakes, a bit of jam, 200 grams of beef. He's a big fan of beef, lean beef. And I think 1 egg. So it was like a relatively decent meal, but quite far away. And then he was like, from that point, we don't drink, we don't eat. So I think I had 200 ml water, 200 ml black coffee, and that was it. That was literally it. And then I had half an hour pre-stage. I was just eating some ready salted crisps, maybe I ate about half the bag, and a few sips of water with a pump-up drink, and that was it, ready to roll.
I don't feel you went really flat having 2 diazides, no?
No, it was perfect. I think I said this to a couple of people. I think if we'd have ran 2 or 3 more rounds in the overall, I may have gone. I was on the point. I was on the point of finding it,
It's not even like a lot of carbs either. It's not like carbs were high for loaded for a day and a half.
Well, we did. I guess he's doing it based on the data that we took from the regional, because I ran 1.5 diazide for that show. So, and then obviously he could see that, and obviously I was still lean, not as lean, but we carb loaded relatively the same. We did 1.5 diazide, and obviously he's like, well, you're leaner now, let's push it to 2, and obviously it worked and paid off. I guess maybe I can handle it to a degree. But yeah, you're right. I think if the show was later in the day, it may have been a bit more difficult. We'd have had to eat some more food, or if it was a morning evening show, something like that, we'd have had to just eat more, I imagine. Probably drink more on the day of the show as well. So it felt like the stars aligned. Everything just went as well as it could have done.
Yeah. I'm actually going to say that at the start of the podcast, and you were on about like being like us as like big bodybuilders, like, and then like the achievability of like a men's physique or something like that, or a bikini competitor. Like there's so many little things that need to go right for us with like obviously having such larger physique.
Yeah.
Like the term of like drying out, the water filling up. And then, like, actually, all that coming together, as you said, like the stars aligned. Because when you probably felt like it's very rare you'll ever get that every show, like very, very rare. But if you ever do, when you hit that feeling, just like this rush, you're like, I'm fucking on,
mate.
Best feeling
honestly,
my stomach's I'm hard, I'm full, like I'm going to pose my ass off here. It's like that feeling. It's very, very rare. When you get it, the confidence just goes from here to fucking the stars and back. It's just like a different feeling.
Like I said, like that I knew the night before, and that was when I was like, fuck, like I slept well. I just went into that day with a different fucking aura. I was like, I am going to win this show. And like backstage, normally I'm a bit of a, I don't want to say joker, but like I'm social, I'll be chatting, and I didn't talk to anyone. I kept my head down. I was in this fucking serious mode. I was just in a different state. I was in a completely different state. I didn't really talk to anyone. I just pumped up on my own, got my shit done. And when I went on stage, I was just, I don't know, just took it to another level with the posing. You know what I mean? I was just getting after it. First one in, last one out. Just hitting the poses as hard as I could, taking a step, just like engaging with the judges, with the audience. I was there to win. And I think that came from knowing that I was fucking on. And I've only ever had that feeling twice in my life. That show and the 2019 British Grand Prix, where I won the overall at that show as well. And I was just peaked very, very well. And that was with JP actually. But I've had it twice. And to get it again, I was like, this day I'm very happy.
I've heard it once, and that was the Arnold.
Yeah, that was a fucking good show. That was. What's a new two?
Fucking brilliant, man. I've had the same. I think the 2019 PCA British the NABA British that year as well.
Yeah.
and then Spain last year. So basically, we had kind of concluded through the prep that like 255, because I was ready, I would say, about 2.5, 3 weeks out, and we kind of concluded that 255 was like the weight that when I wake up in the morning, that seems to be the best look, like post workout. So we kind of gauged it from that, and so obviously we're monitoring Luke, meal by meal check-ins, and then the morning of Spain, 255.0. I was like, that's a sign.
Matters is on.
I turned to Kieran, I turned to Kieran and went, it's 255 on the dot. And then my nerves just went. I wasn't nervous at all. And obviously I had Greg and Jack backstage as well, so that obviously eased me quite a lot. And you just know. It's hard to explain, but you just know. And sometimes we get results that we're like, oh, fuck, I didn't do that. But there's other results where you're like, I knew I was going to fucking win that. I mean, so it's a good feeling.
It's just a wave of confidence that hits you, because you just have that feeling. It's like, this is my best. I feel great. If this is going to be the day, this is going to be the fucking day. So let's fucking do it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Jack, I feel like I'm not including you.
No, I fucking dropped in halfway through. Don't worry.
No. Oh, hi, Jack.
How you feeling anyway?
Good man. I did enjoy it. All right, congratulations.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Good to be on.
Good. Yeah, no, it's good. Nah, mate, I've been living a pretty placid existence. So I just come back from. I was still getting physio on the knee, so late in joining.
I think you've doubled in size, bro.
It was 2 years ago. I thought I was going to do classic, and then I panned it off. So
don't worry.
I'll be a proper bodybuilder.
Yeah, I've been there, bro. Let's not do that. I said on stage.
I was having a crisis.
That's it. Yeah, fuck that. We just want to get as massive as possible. You know, one thing as well I was going to say actually is how I used to be quite obsessed with stage weight, and how this year I kind of learned very much from Patrick. He's just like, stop worrying about the weight. He was like, tell me your weight because I want to know it, but don't worry about it. And it was the same in off season as well. This off season, I didn't go up to as heavy as what I had been previously, and I was like, oh, does this mean I haven't progressed as much? And he was like, no, you're so much better though at this weight. I only went up to 280, and I'd been 286, and he was like, but it doesn't matter about the fucking weight. He was like, you look better for it. And it was the same on the way down, because I was always like, I've been on stage at like 258. But this show, I was 244.4, the lightest I've ever been on stage as a super within recent years, at least anyway. And I probably looked bigger than I have. So it's that age-old mindset, isn't it? Don't worry, just the look is the only fucking thing that matters. The only thing.
Yeah. Oh, well said. Yeah. What we usually do, mate, we've been doing like show reviews with the podcast as well, and the Two Bros Scottish Championships was there on Saturday. Jack, were you there?
No, I never made it, mate, but I watched as much of it as I could. But the live streams were shit. So I was like tanking on to people's stories and stuff, but it looked. I put it up in my story. It was a clear improvement from last year. Right. I don't think they would have struggled to make it better than last year when it comes to the venue.
I would say the classic in bodybuilding was.
Yeah.
Women's was pish. I won't lie. Women's was shit. There was nobody there.
Darren says that, and when he first said that, I was like, "What the fuck are you on about, bro? Pitch." Now I get it. I understand it now because I've been hanging around with Darren. So, oh mate. Quickly before you do that, did you know something? Did you know something about Darren? He told me when he used to train with you, he was training with me, Max Johnson, and what's his name? Someone else. All the training partners he's trained with have all turned pro. I was like, that's pretty cool. 4 people. How mad is that?
He'll have that in his bio.
Mate, I did say that to him. I was like, you need to put, you're the pro fucking trainer, bro.
He is 100% putting that in his bio when he watches this.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Can you guys all see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
There's not a lot of footage from the Scottish, unfortunately, but which is, when you've got, I don't want to obviously shit on my own federation, but when you've got the PCA doing daft things with media, Yeah, you should be more on your ball than this, I think. But why is this not clicking?
Yeah, the
Can you see that screen,
PCA. I'm
yeah?
like, yeah, I can see it. I'm like, how do they get those? They get the reel out for everyone straight away. I'm like, what the fuck? Crazy.
Yeah.
The Instagram is actually linked to the Instagram. It's the same as like what Robin
Yeah.
that was doing at Granite.
Is that
Quite a big
Connor?
operation, like.
Yeah.
Connor looked good.
That's
Mate,
Yeah, he looked
I
very,
was
very good.
impressed.
so good.
I was impressed. Look at his legs, man,
All
and his back.
yeah,
He's,
all of
he
the
was very good.
all of the official pictures of him, he looked so soft, but then the crowd photos, he looked fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see when he walked on, he was like, "This is the bubbliest guy I've ever seen in my life."
Aye.
Like he had
No.
condition, but see when he hit a pose, there was just striations and detail and lines
Yeah.
just everywhere because he was just so full, and he hit it and it was just like bang. It was like dry as fuck.
And he's a light heavy.
Eh?
He's a light heavy as well.
He is below 90 is beyond me.
He must be scraping the line.
He's still
Like,
still
walked
super
on.
young. He's got a wild
Yeah.
future ahead of him. It
Yeah.
won't be long till he gets a pro card.
He'll be a pro
Won't be
very,
long.
very soon. Very soon.
Yeah, he'll be a
Aye,
good
so-
pro as well. He'll be a good pro.
Yes. So Connor, this is light heavy. Is probably one of the better classes of the day.
Yeah.
The Irish guy, I can't remember his name. He was good coming into the show.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought,
he looked
maybe
pretty peeled on
structurally.
his Instagram.
Yeah.
His legs was really good. I think his upper faded a little bit. It was a bit flat. There wasn't the same levels, conditioner details, the legs.
Mm-hmm. This guy here, I thought he'd have probably slotted better into classic. He had a more kind of classic look to me. He was good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, your client Greg,
Yeah.
looked great as well. First outing in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And then and Kieran Milne. I felt Kieran looked sharper at PCA. I was front row, so I could pretty much see every single detail. So, but I thought Kieran was a wee bit sharper at PCA, but he still looked very good. And it was him and Connor in the middle for most of it. So, so these are I think this is first timers. Yeah. So yeah, some good physique there. The guy that won was Ryan Galbone's client, and
Said his first timers.
Chris Bain. That was.
Yeah,
This is what I don't like. Like, you should upload the classes together rather than mix match them all. So
yeah.
right. So that's the light heavies. You can see that Connor won that. I thought that was pretty
That's a
convincing
pretty
win.
decent
I think
class,
it
to
would have
be
been a
fair.
bit of an upset if Kieran had won that. Yeah, it's very good. Like, Kieran was good, like I said, but I don't think it was enough to beat Connor, unfortunately.
No way. No. He was
Connor
really
there.
great.
Ah, look at that.
He was just crazy, mate. His
Yeah.
legs-
That's sick.
Yeah.
Very
That
nice
was
to see that.
that's Rob in the
Big Rob.
Big Rob. Super. No, this is the overall.
Yeah.
So we've got Chris McCann. Chris won the heavies. We have Gaz, who won supers, and also Connor there in the light heavy. So Greg, me and you were going texting back and forth during this. Who did you have in the overall?
Honestly, I honestly thought it was going to go Connor.
Mm-hmm.
He was just so impressive to me when he walked out. He was definitely like the most bubbly, the crazy condition, like the most muscled. He presented himself very well. He was good at posing. It just looked almost effortless to him. I think just like it was just such a nice package he brought. I honestly did have him. Yeah, I did, and he obviously got second. But
Yeah.
Do you know what Connor's
I think
plans
for
are?
me, Gaz has got a great physique. He's big.
Ireland?
He's from Sweden.
Is it Sweden?
Oh, is it?
Sweden. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes sense.
Well, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think we both agree. I think Gaz is obviously good. He's got great potential, but I just don't see the IFBB NPC allowed in a full tattooed physique to ever get a pro card.
If you
He's got a
stripped him
fantastic
off his
physique.
tattoos
Yeah.
with what you've seen there, what would the result have been if you stripped Gaz of his tats?
His posing, he was shaking like a leaf the whole way through posing, so I don't know if they would have still gave it to him. But if he didn't do that, then it would have been very, very, very close.
Yeah.
But I just don't ever see them awarding a full tattooed physique, which is a shame. But you have to understand that is the Super Bowl bodybuilding kind of federation, so they're not going to allow a fully tattooed person on stage. I don't think.
Yeah, I think guys kind of. I was speaking to him at PCA, and I think he kind of anticipated that anyway. But he still turned up. But I think Gaz is impressive. Like,
could you try the?
Yeah, he's got. He's in the universe. I think that's what Brad said.
So he normally does. I think he normally uses, is it Dream Tan or Jantana or something he
Tan,
normally uses. Yeah, but he wouldn't have gotten away with it there. So I think this is probably the first time he's not been able to use that. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's banned.
Yeah, I mean, looking back now,
fucking hell.
I think I had Connor as well.
That's a sick like that.
He was so good.
Yeah. And
Were you at Naba, Andy?
No, I was hanging in Tenerife, mate.
So I was gonna say, because I've never seen Chris compete before, so I couldn't really comment. But what was your thoughts?
So
in my opinion,
what was that?
I thought he was very polished.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really nice.
It was good.
To like his leg, really, he was like full, not to the point of spilling, but he was like perfectly full. I would have said.
Mm-hmm.
Lacking in some body parts like the arms, needs a little bit more in the shoulders. When he's in poses, like because he's quite wide, like his lats pop very well. He's got good width up top, small waist, with a big flaring legs. So there's a couple of like the front shots that are really good. Same with the back shots when he opens his back out. Just lacking
any more shots,
density and size through some areas, I would have said.
Let me find. See, that's
good. His quads are very impressive.
That's pretty terrible. How the overall winner has about one photo.
I think the TK Maxx for bodybuilding pictures.
That's the only shot I can see, other than the video as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I agree. I agree. Chris was good. It's probably the best Chris I've seen. I actually worked with Chris years ago in his first show. So he's obviously come a long way. But as I said to you, Greg, I felt Ali Brown had that all day long. I'm not shitting on Chris if he watches this.
Yeah.
He did look very, very good, but I don't quite understand how it went to Chris. Chris is probably a bit bigger, especially through the lower half. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just felt Ali had more of the overall look compared to Chris. But you know, it's not
two totally different conditioned looks. Whereas like he was almost like a Connor condition where he posed the detail pop through. Mm-hmm. Ali just standing there walking about. You're like, wow, you're vascular, grainy, dry, super hard.
Yeah.
And he hit his poses. It was much more of like a polished, beautiful look, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Ali was like nasty fucking condition, like rock hard. So I guess it was just fucking apples and oranges to what the judges wanted.
Yeah. Like, I do see it, but at the same time, obviously, I'm biased as well because Ali's been my client for years, so it's one of those ones. But I mean, like that's Joe. That was Ali there.
It's peeled.
Ali looks shit hot. I'll give him that.
It looks full as well.
See the poses, right? You guys were there, but see watching it on the stories and on the lives, the poses seemed so rushed.
Oh, they were so fucking rushed.
Very quick.
Oh,
was it? Why was the show behind there?
There were just no one in the classes. They were just going through it.
All right, okay.
That's the thing, though. If the show's like relatively quiet, give the boys time on stage.
Yeah,
you know. Fair enough. There's one boy, but like they were rapid. They were far too fast.
Who was judging?
That Spanish guy with the glasses, the tattooed boy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So this is probably the standout class of the day for me. Class C Classic. Yeah, I thought that was an excellent class. I think everyone there kind of brought something. So
the guy, who was it? The boy with like the mullet and the moustache.
He won Class B.
The B. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, I love this.
He was just classic. Like even his side chest was classic. How he hit his back shots was classic. It wasn't like it was like very like Arnold poses.
Yeah.
So
Sam was good. Sam was dead like hard and dry and detailed, but what's his name again?
It's like even hitting the poses there, he's just like really classical.
Yeah, you can tell.
Like, that was,
he knows. He's spent
that's
time
classic to me.
Practicing.
Not that Sam's not. Yeah, not that Sam's not, but just like a tad more classic. If that makes sense. And then Stephen just wasn't big enough or conditioned enough to match those two. So still look great though, obviously. But
did you boys?
Yeah, classic for me. Classic C was a great class. I loved watching that.
Did you boys know a lot of the people in this show? Because obviously it's the Scottish show.
Yeah, fairly decent amount.
Yeah. Probably.
See that backdrop, right? The backdrop's cool, but it really fucking takes it away. Like you can see it in the classic classes.
Mm-hmm. They did blue at FIBO, didn't they?
Backdrop.
They did blue at
the
FIBO,
blue and yellow.
Yeah.
I
want to do.
We've argued about this before. Why is it? Sorry, you go,
Joe. I was just going to say we should do Detroit, brother. We can head over to America and do Detroit. Yeah. I'd love to do that show.
That's our background.
Yeah, literally just for that.
Yeah, I don't understand why the IFBB every show must be a black background. Fair enough, the sponsors and the logos and all that stuff are to the left and the right of the competitors, but it needs to be a black standardized background. It just looks better.
That makes such a difference.
Yeah. What to talk about, Ryan? Greg, also you're sat pretty much next to me. What do you think of Ryan?
I've seen him better. I think he was better last year. Like he was really, really conditioned, really good package he brought last year. I think he was just a touch off this year. There's a little bit more muscle, but it just wasn't as conditioned in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was still very good. I think even he was aware of that on stage. You could kind of see.
Yeah.
But I feel where he placed was fair.
Yeah, I agree. I like to see Ryan in the heavies rather than classic.
Yeah, he's not. If he just like didn't do a restricted off season, probably try to put on some muscle, I think he would do quite well.
Mm-hmm.
He's been ready to go for a while as well.
Yeah,
he was ready pretty early.
Yeah,
he's doing Spain though, I think.
Yeah, the Ben Reed in Spain.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think there's a lot of guys nowadays that are doing classic that would do better in bodybuilding if they just spent a bit of time growing.
Yeah,
they don't want to do the.
We do this all the time now.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you go to a pro qualifier and there's a fucking classic guy. No matter how good you look, you're going to get beat.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get beat. I'll give you a good example. I'll give you a good example of that. Josh, you know Josh Blue? Do you know Josh Blue? He came third at the pro qualifier, the one I did. He looks fucking phenomenal. Absolutely peeled. Amazing at posing. But when you stood next to like Rory, for example, and that Florian from, like, they just look so classic. So I spoke to Josh now. He won't mind me saying this because he's actually going to go and do the heavies. He's going to go do the heavies now. And I think he just looks so much better there. Just looks more like a bodybuilder. And like I said, he still looks fucking phenomenal. And in a lot of lineups, he'd still win at classic. But at these pro qualifier shows, the classic boys, you know what I mean? Like, you're never beating them on structure. And if they come in peeled, there's not a chance.
Yeah. 100%. Greg, you caught a glimpse of physique, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which class did you say there was an upset?
Oh, I heard about this.
It wasn't this one. It was
this is the overall, I think.
It was the bigger one. So I think the guy, if you go back, him, and the other boy were battling it out in the overall. And me personally, the boy that came second, who was Nathan's client, he was in much better condition, had better poses, but
that's Nathan's client, isn't it?
Like his posing, and that's why he got second.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's odd. I think I said to you, is that remember the days where like you go to a show, even if it was just like a small Scottish regional show, and it'd be just 30 men's physique guys would come out, and you'd just be like, it's like a fucking clown car. And now, and now it's getting less and less popular, in my opinion, just because classic's there. So,
true.
Like, I really enjoy classic. I love watching classic, just because obviously the art to it, the posing.
Yeah.
Like when there's guys who really put a lot of time and effort into it, it's brilliant to watch.
Yeah.
I think the routine of the day was that young guy for me.
Which
boy? The Aberdeen show.
Oh, Wayne.
Oh, Wayne.
Yeah, I loved watching the routine. It was so classic. So
Wayne's brilliant.
He did 2 bros, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
How did he weigh up against the bigger lineup?
He was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just he's a bit like my client Scott. Just tired. Like
Yeah. Okay.
Down a touch in size, in my opinion.
aye. I wasn't there for the women's neither. Greg, you were. So this is the figure overall. Nadal. Yeah, you want to talk us through what you saw there?
It was just so dead. Every class was like one.
Slap.
Well, it was just so, honestly, from starting figure to awarding the overall was 7 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
It was so quick. I literally paid £40 for 10 minutes. I literally sat down, had a drink of water and left.
Yeah.
It was just so quick. There was one person in every class, and they did it like the same as the novice and men's bodybuilding, whatever. It was like on front shot, side shot,
Yeah.
back shot, side shot. Okay, thank you. Off you go. And they came back on and awarded them. That's it.
Yeah. We kind of like have like banter back and forth about like the small feds and how like, you know, this, that, and this, but they give people time on stage, and you know,
hard for that. It's shit.
Exactly, yeah. So
not get anything.
Yeah. This is the wellness overall. On the middle one, and yeah, she was good. Rachel, who trains in my gym, she was, I think, probably looked about the same as she did at PCA, I think.
Yeah.
And the girl on the right as well, she's been competing for a while too. She done Aberdeen. Probably looks roughly the same, I would say, anyway, from the past couple of outings. But yeah, so we spoke about wellness 2 podcasts ago, about how like you only see kind of true wellness in like a high level pro qualifier or pros, but the girl that won, like that's very, very wellness, in my opinion.
So was there not someone there that's like was an ex-pro?
Yeah, it's her.
Is that her?
Which I don't understand how that works. Did she just not pay her IFBB?
I was trying to work out what happened there.
Yeah. Strong. That's her there. Again, like, I'm pretty sure when you register for Two Bros, you give your social media handle. So why don't they tag the athlete as well? I'm still bitching.
I've got something to say, but I'm not going to say it.
What?
I've got something to say, but I'm not going to say it.
I've got something to say as well, but I won't either. I think it's probably the same thing.
We'll say it once we've stopped recording.
Aye.
And then bikini.
What about the true novice?
What was that?
Jack.
No.
No.
So this is the bikini overall. Yeah, we know who won, so there's no point in watching that video. Lindsay, again, she's had a great year out in the Scottish season. So I think, like Calvin said, that's 7 wins and numerous overall. So good result for her. I'm not sure if she's planning any kind of pro qualifier anytime soon, but no, she's had a cracker of a first season. So that's brilliant.
Unreal.
Yeah. Joe, I had your Instagram loaded to have a wee look at you, and I forgot to do it, but so here we are now. So there you go. That's some look, mate. I was definitely your best, in my opinion.
I can't see anything.
You don't see anything, no? You don't see that?
Still on the girls from Two Bros.
Hold on. Here we go. Wait, let me try this again.
My bikini looks good.
And then you look great, mate. Well done.
Hey,
there we go.
Bursting the arse out of it.
There it is.
You see that?
Do you know what? Yeah. Do you know what? The first pictures that came out, I was like, oh my god, they're so bad. You know, and like there's just random. I think Justin took a picture first, and I was like, fuck me, that's so bad. I was like, because straight after the show, I was like, I need to post something. I need to post something. So got that one out. I was quite happy with that.
You see, when you were standing there and it was obviously you get called out, did you think you'd won or you weren't sure?
At that point, I was pretty confident. At that point, I think as soon as I'd won Supers, I was pretty confident. Although I knew Billy was very good and he was fucking peeled. He was very, very lean. He posed well and he got after it as well. So it was a good overall. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was pretty close. But at that point, I don't know. I just felt like everything went so right. I kind of know. Do you know what I mean? I kind of know, but this time I was like, I just felt an air, you know. And when they called my name, I was just like, "Fuck, we fucking done it, man!" That feeling is like no other, like no other.
Yeah,
it's such a good.
Greg, you know what I'm gutted about, right? So we always talk about the Alicante show having like great lighting and that, but like I don't have any photo with me with my card that like, not that I not like, I just don't think the light hits me properly. Like, so I'm bit gutted about that. And then I've taken photos outside in like the lobby with like my mates and like my mum and dad and that, but obviously it's not the same. So I'm kind of gutted that I never got like a good photo with the card.
Struggle on that stage because there's so much going on.
Yeah. So it's what it is. But no, Joe, that was just you standing there in like the thumbnail. Hold on, wrong one. There we go. I mean that's
it's good photo.
I could look at that and just go, that's your best, without even watching the video. So
cheers, man. I appreciate that,
mate.
Man.
Very good. You can tell you're serious that day, mate. Like, so
is it in the zone?
Yeah, brilliant to see. Very, very good to see.
Yeah, it was very
I saw that video. Yeah, I saw that video of your brother getting really emotional outside as well.
Mate, I took Loki stayed with me from pretty much all of Peak Week, and we filmed the whole thing. And at the show day YouTube that I posted, if you get a chance to watch it, give it a watch, because I've had so many people message me saying that I don't know, like, fuck, I got emotional at the end. And the way he's edited it, the last bit, it was like, it's like a movie. I think it's from about, because it's an hour long, because it shows the build up and stuff, from about 40 minutes show day morning, that bit to the end, if you watch nothing else, that's a really good bit. I watched it back a few times, because on the day I was so fucking overwhelmed, man. Like, you know, so you come off stage, obviously it's a home show, I got mobbed, and it was obviously incredible. I felt so good, but I was so overwhelmed, I couldn't, like, I was trying my best to be in the moment, and then I didn't cry or anything like that. I mean, there's a moment on stage where Ian puts my hands up, and I looked to the sky, and I was kind of holding it back a bit then. But aside from that, I didn't feel too much emotion. It wasn't until Loki sent me the video, I watched it, and I was actually like, fuck. Like I'll be honest, I did have a little tear or two watching that back, because the way it was edited, the music over the top, and seeing the reactions of, because I couldn't see them obviously because I was backstage still, but seeing their reactions of when we were outside, I was like, fuck, man, that's pretty heavy. So it was a good watch. It was a good feeling.
Yeah,
and I'm actually taking.
Once again, mate, massive.
Oh, we got a bit of lag on there. Sorry. I was just saying. I'm taking Magic Eye. I'm taking Magic Eye out with me to Pittsburgh, so we're going to get lots of content on YouTube whilst out there with the big boys. That'd be cool.
Yeah, nice. That's class, mate. I can't wait for that. So once again, mate, from all of us, massive congratulations. Good to have you back on as well, and then maybe you can come back on and talk about Pittsburgh once
I'd love to, man.
With that, and then
I'd love to.
Very excited to see kind of forward. So part of the club.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate that. Big love.
Nice one, Joe.
Cheers, guys. If you've made it this far in the podcast, cheers for watching, and remember to subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.